Hey, 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 everybody. Guess what? It's Monday. Whoop, 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 whoop. Come on. Monday doesn't get any love around here. You know what I'm saying? Come on. We got to give it up for Monday. It is the first day of the work week, typically. Lots of people have lots of different days, but for us, it's Monday, which means it's the beginning of the week. And you know what? I'm here for it. This is Karen Hilton, founder and chief vision caster for the Rock Your Vision Masterclass community and founder of TAP Executive Coaching. I want to welcome you in this morning. It's going to be a good week. Listen to me very carefully. If you're anything like me, like your weekend, like tried to come for you, okay? Like seriously, I get it. I get it, okay? Whether it was in the news or what's going on at home or in the neighborhood or whatever. I'm telling y'all, I had a wingdinger of a weekend, and I don't mean that necessarily in a good way. I mean it in a character building way. So this morning, I have a lot of character and I got a lot of sass. I'm wearing my leopard print shoes today, and I just want the enemy to know I'm not having it, okay? I'm starting the week off right. So, hey, Monday, come on, we're here for it. We are so glad to have you. Good morning. Come on in. This is Monday Morning Jumpstart, where we get together with some of the most amazing leaders in the world to do three things: get focused, connect to our purpose, and develop the perspective that we're going to need to do life and lead on our own terms. Now, for everybody, that means a little something different, but I want you to know I've got some backup this morning. Okay. I've got like the serious dream team squad this morning, and we're going to be talking about mental health. Now, come on, you guys. Seriously, mental health is no longer like in the shadows. It is front and center for everybody. And so I've got some amazing experts here and experienced leaders who are going to talk to us about mental health. But hold on a second, because mental health is a big ocean to boil. We're going to kind of pare it down, and I want to talk about this one thing. And so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you're watching in the live, or if you are on the replay, I need you to share this. Start a watch party, invite your friends, invite your network. We're going to be breaking down mental health today around this one topic: what to do when everything is not okay. Can I get a witness? I'm just going to leave that for a minute and let y'all soak that in, because everybody you know, including the person you're looking at in the mirror, needs this topic: what to do when everything is not okay. Now, I specialize in helping leaders make progress, okay? Lawrence Henderson, Dr. Denice Colson, the amazing Brittany Browne, we are all in professions where we work to help leaders to be their best, right? So you think, oh, we got the Ph.D. in all of these things, right? Like we've got it together. Everything is always okay. How about you? You probably are hired to do some amazing things, to make some amazing things happen, right? You got it all together, right? Everything is always okay. No. In fact, this weekend, I really began to question myself. Hold on a second. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing a live stream on mental health? What to do when everything is okay? Do I really know what to do when everything is okay? Well, I've got some folks who will tell us about it. But before we get to them, I want to pop into the live stream and just say good morning, everybody. If you're joining us, I want you to come on in. Don't like creep in the background. We want you in this live stream. You know what? We want you to ask questions. Guess what? This is our mini masterclass environment. We go live every single week on Mondays at 8:15 Eastern Daylight Time right here. And we are on Facebook, on our public Facebook page. We're on IG, and we're streaming live to YouTube. That's a new thing for us. We're super excited. So hey to all of our YouTube family. So glad you could join us. Do us a favor. If you like what's happening in this community, give this a thumbs up and share your comments and your questions. We read every single one, and we want to know you're in here. All righty. And by the way, if you are joining us, go ahead and pop your name in the comments if you feel comfortable. If not, totally okay. We want to know who you are. don't forget, send us your questions. All right, what to do when everything is not okay. I want to introduce you to some amazing people, and I'm going to start really with one of my sheroes. She is a leading contributor in the area of trauma, and she has spent her entire career really kind of becoming the subject matter expert as a way to support her community. In fact, not just here in the Georgia area, but around the country. I want to welcome Dr. Denice Colson. Hey,
Good
Dr.
morning.
Denice.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. I love being on your show, and I'm excited to be on here again.
Thank you so, so much. We are thrilled to have you. Dr. Colson, as I mentioned, is a trauma specialist, and she's an educator. She spends her time building tools and resources for other professionals in the helping professions in psychology and what am I trying to say? Counseling. She really is one of the legends in this space.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm going to have her talk a little bit about that. But I just wanted you to know I have trained under Dr. Colson. And so I happen to know for real, that she's an expert in this space. So Dr. Denice, can you tell us a little bit about your practice, where you are, and what it is you do?
Sure. I specialize in trauma-related disorders, and actually I've been doing that specializing since 1994, 1992, before it started becoming really trendy.
Wow.
But that's good. I'm glad, because we've been pushing the idea that trauma is at the root of most mental health problems and addiction, and even a lot of medical issues for a long time. And we feel like we're really getting heard now. But
Wow.
A lot of people still don't know that. I manage Eagles Landing Christian Counseling Center, where we have 21 providers, and we reach about 7 counties. We have a second location in Covington, Georgia, and we are opening locations around the state. And we specialize in trauma, especially from a Christian perspective. And I've developed a Christian model, strategic trauma and abuse recovery for trauma recovery, specifically a 12-step process for the healing the wounds of trauma in people's lives.
Yeah,
I love talking about it. So
we love hearing you talk about it. We want you to talk about it some more. Just a quick question, Dr. Colson, do you serve people who do not identify as Christian?
We do. We serve a lot of people who don't identify as Christian, who identify as Muslim. We serve a lot of clients who may not normally come to a church for counseling. We serve clients who are gay, lesbian, homosexual, transgender. We love people. And we love people no matter what they come into our office looking like, thinking like, living like. We don't care.
You treat the person.
Love people, yes. And we treat the person.
Awesome. That's incredible. Thank you, Dr. Colson. We're so excited to hear you talk on this topic of what to do when everything isn't okay. And then guys, hold on a second. I've got a little bit of the groupie thing going on here, because my next guest is a superstar. She just hit the runway, and we had an opportunity to support her. She is not only drop to life gorgeous, she is wicked smart, and she is the executive director and co-founder of a business. I'm going to let her tell you all about it. And by the way, she's Mrs. Kennesaw. Come on, everybody. We got Mrs. Kennesaw in the house. Brittany Browne. Come on. Give it up.
Thank you so much for having me on. So it's actually very cool to have Denice on here, because our counseling department was born out of her supervision of my husband. And our business is called Mind and Body Christian Health Group. So in the same way, we have the same heart. We want to serve everyone. We love everyone. Everybody that comes through our doors, we are open to helping, no matter what type of lifestyle or what belief system they're coming from. The thing that kind of differentiates us from other counseling practices is that we also have a primary care department here. And we also offer psychological services, psychological testing. And so we want to look at not just what's going on relationally or within their life, but also maybe what's going on biologically. Usually people will choose one or the other to seek help with mental health. And often it's really a combination of both. And I don't mean necessarily that we want prescription-based medical care. It could simply be that their vitamins, they're deficient in something and they need something in their diet, or they need to take something out of their diet. So we want to look at that whole person when we talk about mental health from our practice.
Okay, so let me get this right, Brittany. At Mind and Body Christian Health Group, first of all, you serve everyone in the community, whether they identify as Christian or not. But also, it sounds to me, if I heard you right, you have kind of multiple pillars in your practice. They're in your practice. So you have the counseling services, you have the psychological support services like testing, and then you have a medical practice all in one?
Yes, so it's kind of a one-stop shop, and a lot of times people come out and they've used all the services and it's changed their life. To date, we've been open officially as a business for about 5 years. The primary care department only about 2 years, but in the span, we've served over 2,000 families. So it's been a really good experience to kind of touch the lives of people in our community.
That's incredible. Well, we know you're making an impact, but can for you just a minute talk about, like, again, I feel like I'm a little bit of a groupie pageant girl here. Hashtag pageant girl. But I want to know, inquiring minds want to know, tell us about being Mrs. Kennesaw. This is Mrs. Kennesaw, by the way. Let's be clear. Mrs. Kennesaw, tell us a little bit about that, and what is your platform?
So my platform is actually Hope and Restoration for Mental Health. We want to see people have hope restored, and that they know that their life does not have to be where it is now. It's always going to get better. Even if you're in a healthy place, it can get better. So a year ago when I started on this pageant journey, I was in a relatively healthy place, nothing diagnosable or anything like that. But I realized that I had hidden myself, and that I was in a place where this next chapter, I have to be comfortable being seen and to start walking that out. And that's what the pageant did. I mean, over a span of a year, I'm a completely different woman.
Wow. You said you recognized that you needed to be seen. We're going to talk about that today. That is deep. Like, we could do a whole show just on that. In fact, I think we've got something similar in September. So Brittany, I may ask you to come back for sure. Thank you so much. It's so good to have you here. We want to hear more. We're going to talk today, and I think you've got some really powerful things to say on this topic of what to do when everything is not okay. But I saved the king for last. Come on, y'all. Give it up for Dr. Lawrence Henderson.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm excited. So I am Lawrence Henderson, owner operator of Business Operational Support Services, LLC, long version of BOSS. And this topic in particular is extremely deep down ingrained, because I'm not only a person who wasn't able to name and claim or name and put things in its proper place because of where I was during places of transition, but also as a coach, partnering with licensed professionals to make sure people are getting the right types of services. And the work that I love to do is finding the hidden productivity killers in a workplace.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, not many people want to label it as mental health. And so as a coach, those things begin to come up. And so now I have a facet of my coaching. We're working with Lyra Health and some other ones that are, you know, the intensive outpatient coaching and different things like that. So that world, it's a real thing for me. And I always tell people I'm my first client. And so I had to identify that there were some things going on with me, similar to Brittany and Denice and you, Karen, as well. And so I'm excited to get growing with this topic, get growing. I said, I was trying to say, get growing. I'm going to get growing with this topic. And so Karen, let's ride.
Let's rock. Let's do it. I love it. So glad to have you in here, Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to pop into the comments for a quick second because our community is showing up large and in charge. Oh my gosh, BC Clark is in the house. She's in Omaha, Nebraska. What? Hey, BC, how you doing? So good to see you in here, sis. You and I need to talk. I'm just saying, just for a minute. I'm just going to say that BC and I need to talk. Anyway, let's see. Who else do we have in here? I know for a fact Sarah Fruman is in the house because she's managing us on the back end. Hey, Sarah. Sarah is our social media guru and marketing and branding specialist. She's amazing. She loves this community. She supports this community. And a lot of what you see when we show up, when it's not my mug, Sarah has a big hand in helping us really design an experience that matters to you. So she does all of our surveys and things like that. So Sarah, mwah, mwah, we love you. So glad you're here this morning. And we've got the amazing Christy Kent. One of our regulars, one of my boos, one of my sisters for real. Christy Kent is an amazing leader and she makes a mean charcuterie board. I'm just going to put that out there. I've not yet had breakfast, so I do have food on the mind. Anyway, Christy, glad to have you in here. And then, oh my gosh, one of my besties in the whole world. She is mom to 4 of my godchildren. I have 8. Thank you very much. 9 godchildren. And I mean that. That is not just a title. I mean that thing. Caroline Rast, how you doing this morning, sweetheart? She asked a really good question, and this is for Dr. Colson. Dr. Colson, do you serve juveniles? Do you serve children in your practice?
Yes, we do. We start at 3, and we go as far up as you want to go. But we start at 3. We have counselors who specialize in working with children in play therapy. And then we have a number of counselors now working with adolescents, pre-adolescents, as well as young adults. So yeah, we serve all age groups. We just added a psychologist who does testing, and we'll be getting on Medicare in order to serve seniors. That's been an area in our community that is very underserved, is seniors. And so we're really blessed to have a psychologist now join us who's able to get on Medicare panels and to serve seniors in our area. And we do everything by telemental health too. So we serve all over the state of Georgia, and we can serve into Florida and some of the other states also.
Wow. Okay, so this is really important. And Brittany, I'm going to ask that you ask this of you for Mind and Body Christian Health Group as well. So Dr. Colson, you also do telehealth during this time when it's difficult maybe for people to get out. You serve in Georgia, in some parts of Florida and other states. So probably best just to give you guys a call, right?
Right. Our number is 678-289-6981. And you can also go to our webpage, which is simply our initials, elccc.org. And we have a confidential contact link there that goes directly to our front desk, where you can ask questions, get information on insurance. The only way for us to really know if your insurance is going to cover treatment is for you to call and give us your information. But we also do out of pocket for all age levels. And we have counselors that go down to as low as $25 because we really want to serve our community. We don't want to turn anyone away if at all possible.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Brittany, I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you serve children? And are you guys doing telehealth?
Yes. So similarly, we serve all the way down to 3 years old. We have a play therapist as well, and all the way through older adults. And our phone number is 678-389-1195. And our receptionist currently is Amari, and she's amazing. So she can help answer a lot of questions. And we have a website. It is Mind and Body Group. So 4 words, mindandbodygroup.com. And there's a little widget on the side where it'll send, you can either do a text message, an email, or call us from there. But there's a lot of information on the website. So you can get a good handle on who you might even link up with as a counselor, or even just reading up on the biological piece that I did bring up, if that's something that you've heard about with mental health.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we've set the tone pretty well. First of all, the thing is, you've got options. We talk about this all the time. In fact, we do have t-shirts that say, you've got options, because we mean that. And so I'm really, really glad to know that we've got all of these options. You know, the pandemic has been kind of a world changer in every way. And, you know, we're still dealing with the effects of it in multiple ways. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But one of the things that I want to call out is what good is coming out of this experience. Because anytime you find darkness, you will find light trying to cut through. Come on, that's good. Anytime you find darkness, you will find light trying to find its way through. And one of the things that has happened is that lots of people, lots of businesses and organizations and medical practice, the medical industry, I work in healthcare as well, are innovating. They are jumping over to and adopting things like telehealth, mental health as well. And so you've got options. And so thank you, Dr. Denice and Brittany, for sharing that. So here's what I want to ask you to do. I want to ask you to do this again, because I think this is important. What you guys didn't hear is on the pre-show. We have a pre-show. On the pre-show, we were talking about the fact that it was kind of a struggle to get here this morning. And what I believe with all my heart is that somebody needs to hear this. And so I've got on my, my canary yellow, because that is my signature color. And I got on my leopard stilettos. That's right. I'm not playing this morning. So I need y'all to share this stream, share this information with other people, do a watch party, forward it, call your friends, get, buy them a coffee, whatever. We need to get after it. All right. You guys ready to do this? We're going to be talking about today what to do when everything is not okay. All right. We had some things come up, you guys, over the past several months. All of us. Nobody has been immune. And what I see is that normally, kind of capable, resilient people have been completely blindsided. But here's the thing. I don't know about you. Even for those people who have been impacted by work, their lives have been overtaken by doing things like going to look for work, reaching out to their networks, or starting networks that they never had to begin with. For people that are, blessed enough to still be employed, they're having to keep up with the demands and the shifts of what's going on in the business world. I can imagine that care professionals like Dr. Denice and Brittany are overwhelmed with the onslaught of work. And here's what happens, right? You've got all of these new inputs coming at you where you almost can't take a breath. Anybody? Is that anybody in here? If you're in the live stream, I want you to just pop in. What has been your experience during this time where you just have this overload of information? But it's not just information. It's emotion. It's all of the things that happen that create a strain on our mental health, right? That sounds like just about right. Can I get an amen? Anybody? Dr. Denice, what's been your experience? What are you seeing in your practice and in your own personal life?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been an interesting time. We have gone in our practice initially, people just, withdrew and hid at home. But now we have just had an onslaught of people calling us and trying to find ways to serve people and be creative. Because some people can come out of their houses and some people can't. Some people aren't interested in leaving their homes. Some people aren't interested in using telehealth. So trying to be creative. It's very difficult to work with a 3-year-old, is it not, Brittany, over the internet? So our children's counselor has had to stay in person, and we had to set up all these, all these requirements for parents just to bring their children who were desperately needed an outlet. And then the clients that we served, some of them are losing their businesses because their business could not transition to online counseling. Some folks I know do our wedding. The wedding business has just about collapsed. Because wedding photography is gone. And my daughter's getting married in 2 weeks from yesterday, so which I'm very excited about.
Congratulations.
Yes, we're very excited. Our oldest daughter, first wedding. But we're, trying to manage keeping it to 50 people, and it's already 30 people in the wedding party. So, it's just been very difficult. There's a lot of stress and anxiety, decision-making, people getting their feelings hurt. Some people will wear masks. Some people won't wear masks. That comes between people, even families.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on. And I think that idea that we have options. I wore a necklace today that says sending hope. You can't see it on the screen, but sending hope is what my necklace says. And
that's beautiful.
And that's, I think, what we need. And that's what the goal of a lot of mental health treatment is, because people despair that this will be, my life will be like this forever. And it's not. I promise this will pass. Now, it's not passing as fast as we hoped it would.
Right.
But it will pass. And we do have options to talk to someone, just to talk. I mean, one of the realities of mental health is that when you are using insurance, we have to give somebody a diagnosis in order for the insurance to reimburse. And people are afraid of that. They're afraid of being diagnosed, of being categorized. And I know when my daughter had issues when she was young, that was part of what we were afraid of, even as a professional. But for the most part, we see people just like you and I and Brittany and Lawrence. I mean, we're not, we treat people with respect and dignity. And if you reach out to a counselor who does not treat you that way, then you should go someplace else, because you do have options.
That's
and there
good.
are people to encourage you and send you hope.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Denice. That's really powerful. I want to jump into the comments for a minute. Oh my gosh, my big brother, John Kowaleski, is joining us this morning. Y'all need to meet John. He's an incredible leader. He's done some incredible things in his life and has a powerful story. So we're going to have him on. Good morning, John. Our very own Sarah Freeman says, Denice, my dad owns a party decorating business in New York, and nothing has happened like this in 33 years of business. It's pretty rough. We were actually talking about that as a team the other day. And so, Sarah, we're sending your dad prayers and good thoughts. We know that the wedding business has just been absolutely devastated, and kind of party planning and all like that. And we've got Pam Kelly in here. Coach Pam Kelly, if you guys don't know Coach Pam Kelly, she's amazing. She does some really very interesting work working specifically with leaders who struggle with ADD and anxiety. So she's got some things to say. Pam says, every day has become prioritizing the must-do list and putting everything on a list for later, or the file 13, and the next day the same thing. One key that she says is to stay flexible, grateful, and to breathe. We're going to talk about that. But I want to go back to something that Dr. Denice brought up. And Brittany, I'd love for you to answer this question. And Lawrence, I would love for you to chime in on this as well. So when we talk about mental health, we think all sorts of things. So here's what I want you to do. If you're watching the live stream, pop in the comments. When somebody mentions mental health to you, what do you think of? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Or what's the first feeling that you have? I'm going to be honest with you. For many, many years, when somebody said mental health, I tensed up. I didn't even realize I was doing it. Mm-hmm. I tensed up. And yeah, what's wrong with them? Right? We don't talk about mental health as much as we could in the workplace. And now we're forced to talk about it, right? But pre-COVID, mental health was kind of something that you let your HR folks do, and you had a private confidential session, which is appropriate. But my point is that nobody really talked about that. If you were a leader and you were struggling with mental health, wasn't something we talked about. So I want to give some context. When we talk about mental health, Brittany, what are we talking about when we say mental health? And then why is there such a stigma around it?
Okay, so with mental health, we're talking about the perception of the way we see the world and making sure that it's accurate and helpful. The way that our thoughts are going, the logical progression of them. Are we actually viewing our situations that we're in a helpful and accurate way? Not that everything is rosy and that we're always optimistic, but because if something is truly hurtful, then it's okay to be sad. It's okay to have those emotions, and those are actually the appropriate emotions. Having appropriate emotions tells us that we have proper mental health. So just because we are grieving the loss of a loved one or something like that does not mean that your health is in disorder. If you think about it from a physical health point of view, you go to the doctor, or maybe you should go to the doctor for your annual physical, and that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that we need to check and make sure that everything is accurate, everything's working the way that it should. And the stigma around it is that, like you already said, Karen, is that there's something wrong with you if you're going to a counselor. And it's far from the truth. Now, while there are people that are being served that have disorders and there are treatment plans and protocols for it, I would like us to start thinking about this more from a physical fitness standpoint. You have a whole range of people that come into a gym that seek out a personal trainer. They might be healthy and an athlete already, and they just want to increase their performance. At the same time, they might be overweight and have some actual physical health concerns that need addressing through exercise. And so if we can put counseling into that same framework, then we can understand that there's a spectrum of people that can really benefit from mental health therapy, whether that's, again, becoming a better person overall, becoming more self-aware, recognizing your emotions, knowing who you are as your personality, and how you interact with the world and with other people, and helping to restore relationship breaks, trauma, like Denice has been talking about too. And those are the things that help us get better and get into better physical or mental health fitness, you can say.
I really love this analogy that when you go into the gym, you do a variety of things, or you can do a variety of things. I also really, really love what you said about the spectrum of mental health. And so one of the things that I wanted to accomplish today, if we don't do anything else, is to really kind of punch the myth in the face that mental health is something that is shameful or scary. It is not. Newsflash, girlfriend's got a therapist. Okay. I have a therapist, and I also have a couple of different coaches that I will tap into within our network. But I wasn't always there. I was that person who was like, no, everything's fine. I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm fine. Everything's okay. And that is how we got to the title of this show today, What to Do When Everything Isn't Okay. Because in 2014, I was running an international HR practice in 4 countries. I was raising a toddler. I was raising 2 stepchildren, having to also deal with our house and another house. And I was full-time caregiver for my mother who had ovarian cancer. Come on.
Wow.
I had a few things going on and I looked amazing now, y'all. Come on. But I was falling apart on the inside. And it felt threatening and risky to me to ask for help. And one day in 2014, the thing that really broke me was hearing of the passing of a child somebody who had childhood cancer. And September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, by the way. And so we're going to be doing some things around that. But like that was the final straw. And one day I literally collapsed in the floor. And I said to my husband, who came to grab me, everything is not okay. Everything is not okay. That's what I said. I will never forget that. It gives me chills talking about it. Because we all need to be able to get to the point where we say everything is not okay. And with that, I want to ask you this question. Lawrence, you have an amazing story, an amazing testimony. And one of these days, we're going to just feature you. So we have plenty of room and time to really dig deep so people can hear your story. But on this question of understanding what the signals are of when everything is not okay. And Dr. Denice and Brittany, I want you to chime in here. This is a dialogue. It's not like a presentation. Okay. We need to talk. We're chatting. But Lawrence, I want you to maybe share with us, and you've been very transparent with your story in many circles, but how do we know, how did you know in your life when everything was not okay?
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm loving the comments. And thank you, Denice and Brittany, for the work you do. This is going to be earth shattering, y'all. So get your notepads and paper out. What I'm about to say is it's gonna rock your world.
Go ahead.
Here's some signs. When somebody asks you, "Are you okay?" They see something. We are intuitive beings. So when we look at a person and you're not looking the way you normally look, because again, we've been training people how to encounter us, how to experience us. And when something's off, we all have seen it in somebody. And so what happened to me, and I love somebody identified COVID traumatizing people. As a new business owner, I launched 2020. January 2020. I had all these aspirations. I had my goals written down in January, February, and then June. And in the conversation, like you said, Karen, it's like things are going on, and my wife's checking in every other day, say, "Hey, how's it going? You got anything yet?"
Lord.
And I recall I was on a speaker. I'm on a speaking team. And on the call, this virtual Zoom call, one of the coaches goes, "Lawrence, are you okay?"
Wow.
And she was like, she went in. Like she didn't wait for me to say yes, no, maybe so. She was like, "Look, you're not you.
Wow.
Something's going on." And she was like, and it's almost like a darkness. Like she was like, "I see it." And I was like, "Nah." And single solitary thug tear starts rolling down my cheek, and I'm like, I'm struggling. Hold
on a second. Hold on a second. I just want to set free every man who's watching the stream who feels like you've got to be Superman, who feels like you've got to be like, you won't find strength like any better picture than this guy right here. Yeah. And for him to say, he admitted everything is not okay, right? I'm going to pop into the comments for a minute. Yeah. John Kovaleski, he says mental health has a direct connection to physical health. Yeah. Brittany, you just said this, right? He says, so within my coaching business, and by the way, John is a personal trainer extraordinaire. He's a beast. He is beautiful and just the best human on the planet. So he says, so within my coaching business, I focus on the mindset of my clients so I can help them with underlying conditions as well as their nutrition and exercise. So yeah, he recognizes that connection. And one of these days I'll have John tell you, but he has his own experience with that. And so I think he made that connection. So Lawrence, you said, number one, when someone recognizes it in you, what's number two?
Number two is what you just identified is the acknowledgement. And so it's dealing and feeling the feels. And I love that Brittany brought that up. It's like, are you putting the feeling in the right category? Because it's like a child, right? That's acting out in the classroom. You're like, okay, something else is causing that, right? And as adults, we don't think that anger or us lashing out, we try to compartmentalize it and say, no, I'm just reacting to the thing. But okay, what's deeper? And have you done the work? And so it's identifying it, it's acknowledging it, and then it's okay, who do I need to help me process this? And I believe that's that third step of who do I need? And it's I love the working out analogy, but I also love it like the car analogy. Will you drive your car until it shuts down and then take it to go get work? No, it's called preventative maintenance. And so counseling in my wife, we go to a marriage counselor. It's preventative maintenance. You don't go get something when stuff starts falling apart. No,
right.
You read the owner's manual. We treat your body like a machine. There's an owner's manual. And if you start feeling some feels, you hear some clunking and some ticking and some popping, you like, okay, don't wait until you can't walk to be
but you know what? We do this as leaders because
all the time.
We do it. And when I say leaders, guys, I'm not talking about executives. I'm talking about people who have influence or responsibility. We do this. We go and we go and we go and we go. That's what I did in 2014. I was preparing for a trip to India. I was trying to keep my employees in Germany happy. I was, trying to raise a toddler and be a very present mom. And, right now I'm trying to homeschool and pretend like I know how to teach. Can I get an amen from all the moms and caregivers out there? And and I'm also, trying to grow 2 businesses, and I'm trying to do all of these things. I mean, my goodness, you keep going because you have to, because if you stop, goodness forbid, nobody tends to do that. We tend to keep going, and we reach that breaking point. Dr. Denice, I just know you got something to say about this. Come on.
I do. And I think that, there's been some changes in our field to where we don't necessarily always use the term mental health, but we talk about behavioral health because it's about behavior. It's about what we see on the outside, but the truth is it's about your brain. And this is what I want people to hear is if you are exercising your muscles, you have to, if you want to get stronger, you have to work your muscles. If you want to get more emotionally and relationally healthy, you have to exercise your brain, because it really is about the brain. And what, the way that I define trauma is any event outside your expectations that contradicts those expectations, values, and beliefs to the extent that it raises your stress levels to toxic levels and you experience unacceptable losses. That is how we define trauma. So COVID really does fit that, because it contradicts all of our expectations, all our values, and beliefs, to the point that it's raised our stress levels for many of us, not all of us, to toxic. Not everybody feels traumatized by COVID, but those of us who do, it's because we have very strong values and beliefs and expectations. And that's a positive thing, right? But it's about the brain, and toxic stress in the brain actually decreases links in the brain to where the neuro pathways in the brain decrease the linkage. And so there becomes less links between the amygdala, which if you do this, that's kind of at the center of the brain where you a smoke detector, and the prefrontal cortex, where we have rational cognitive thinking and calculating.
So that link breaks.
It doesn't break completely, but there's a decreased linkage, and that hippocampus and the amygdala, the limbic system of the brain, hijacks the rest of the brain.
Yes.
And so then prefrontal cortex kind of, if you think about it, goes offline, and we got to bring it back online.
Right.
We want to bring it back online so that we can, as Lawrence said, make some decisions and choices about getting help. And Brittany brought out that it's all linked together. And I love their practice because they have brought it all together under one roof, because it is mental health is a medical issue.
Oh, come on, say it one more time.
Mental health is a medical issue. It is a medical issue and a physical issue. And it is about your brain. And we've neglected our brains. I mean, we neglect our brains. We put stuff in our bodies that affect our brains. And we put not just stuff like our food or drugs or alcohol, but even now, I mean, the most recent FDA warning is 1 alcoholic drink a day is all that is safe, because any alcohol damages every cell in your body, and especially your brain. But that's during COVID how a lot of people are coping is through alcohol.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, you said so much in there.
Sorry.
But I want to talk about this powerful awareness, because I one of the things that I struggle with, I know y'all are going to think I'm a hot mess and you're never going to show up on the show again. I'm spilling all my cheese out here, but I just want to empower and encourage somebody. So one of the things that I struggle with is anxiety. And I didn't even realize it, you guys. I thought, no, I'm doing. And the feelings, the thoughts that were really driving me got to that toxic level. And how do I know? Because they had toxic consequences. That's one of the ways you know, right? Is it began to affect my physical health. I didn't feel well. I did not look well. When I go back and I look at those pictures, I look kind of vacant. And from that period of time, my hair was dried out. My skin was dried out. I was not feeding myself well. I was not feeding myself with water. I wasn't hydrating, which is huge for brain health. I'm sure Dr. Colson could do a whole session on that. Okay. Yes. There were all these, and guess what? My relationships were strained. And I'm just going to help a leader right now. I'm going to help you and tell you this. Your employees, don't y'all give me any business. Your employees will be a great barometer for you. So when somebody gives you some feedback, I need you to call me if you don't know how to receive it. Okay. That's important. Your employees, your family members, right? So oftentimes we get defensive. Maybe should you see somebody? What do you mean I don't need to see anybody? No, there might be something in that we need to tap into. I'm going to pop into the comments. We got all kinds of things going on in here. I want to say good morning to Mrs. Beverly Wilkes. Hey, Beverly. She says, I tensed up when you said mental illness just now, because I've shared my time and energy and effort with a friend and her daughter, but I did not know how to manage the relationship and the knots in me because I could not get them to a more peaceful place. Boom. Wow. How many of us have been in relationships that are toxic that then bleed over into us? And right now during quarantine, one of the things that we're seeing is, people are spending a lot more time together, right? Your booze are no longer your booze because you're like, I can't, right? Or people are not showing up or not calling you because they're trying to process their own stuff. And so I want to just make this a group discussion, this next question, because this is really where I think one of the challenges lie, particularly for those who lead others, right? Whether you're in ministry or whether you're in corporate, whether you're in a community organization, whatever it is. And here's the question. How do we individually and as a community contribute to having a healthy perspective about care in the mental health space, right? When you're a leader of leaders and you're, having to drive harder and work longer, or work in a virtual environment where you've never been in a virtual environment and basically your day never ends, how do we as leaders, in an appropriate way, I'm going to start with Dr. Colson on this one, begin to encourage and inspire and make space for our leaders to get the help that they need?
Well, I think, Lawrence, people go to the gym, right? And we brag about it. Right now, I'm not going to the gym personally because I need to stay safe for my daughter's wedding.
Right.
But but we brag about, well, I go to the gym 3 times a week. Well, I go to the gym 5 times a week. Well, I go to the gym every day. But do we brag about, well, I go to my counselor once a week. I go to my counselor twice a week.
Come on.
It's okay. I mean, it's okay to, I grew up in a home where my parents are very giving. They introduced us and really focused on building community and helping people in the community. And so unfortunately, though, I grew up thinking that God helped everybody else, but wouldn't help me, that I had to help myself.
Wow.
And I didn't discover that except by going to counseling, because that belief was holding me back in so many ways. And I didn't realize I had that belief. It took a lot of introspection, a lot of talking out loud to somebody else to help me wait a minute, how did I get to this belief? And this belief that I'm carrying around secretly in my brain is operating here in the back of my brain the whole time, and affecting the way I interact with people. I had a relationship as a young adult that was very traumatic and abusive. And after I was married and had my 3 daughters, I was very angry, and I couldn't figure out what the heck is going on here? Why?
Right.
I remember looking at myself in the mirror one day, crying, and saying, God, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
I loved what Lawrence said about, if somebody asks you, are you okay? Then probably there's something that's not okay.
Wow.
But I, what's wrong with me? And God said very quietly to me, that thing that you train about and talk about, that trauma thing? You've got it, girl, and it is not healed. And so I was like, oh my gosh, of course.
And did you feel a sense of relief?
So much relief. And I had gone to counseling about this relationship, but the counselor I saw directly, I would say implied to be nice, but pretty much directly said it was my fault. What I was experiencing was my fault. And if I didn't want it to happen, I could make it stop happening. And it was, sexual harassment. And that, was very traumatizing. And it wasn't my fault. So that had repressed the trauma further. And like Brittany said, I had a hard time with being seen because of that. I had withdrawn and pulled in and was angry and frustrated. And I had to go to somebody that I had trained, which was, in some ways very humbling, that I had trained in trauma recovery to go through my own trauma recovery process. But God used that in so many ways in my life. And that's what leaders have to do. We have to humble ourselves. We have to humble ourselves, and we have to reach out and ask for help. And there's lots of good folks out there.
So I mean, again, this is so rich. It's just hard to even know where to start next. But one of the things that I heard you say is that you recognized that the emotion of anger, which is how people were experiencing you, there was something else at the root. And this is what we find happens so often, right? I know in the coaching world, so often what we see manifested in the workplace, there's something else underneath that. And by the way, let me just, kind of do a commercial break here. One of the most important things I do as an executive coach is I partner with licensed professionals. I am certified and licensed in my profession, but I partner with licensed professionals like Mind and Body Health Group, like Eagles Landing, because there is a point to which I can help them, and then there is not. Mm-hmm. Equally so, there are times when I make a counseling or therapy referral, or I will say, coaching is not the right modality. So I do think that, having somebody help you identify what is the right modality for you is incredibly important. But Dr. Colson, I love what you said about, you recognize that there was this underlying emotion, but it took you kind of looking at yourself in the mirror and experiencing these incredible emotions. And so here's what I would say around mental health. One of the power plays for when everything is not okay is saying everything is not okay. Yes. I just want to set you free this morning. I need you to if everything is not okay, I need you to say that, right? And it doesn't have to be big, right? Oftentimes we relegate mental health to those who are living with and surviving through some of the more extreme forms of what we typically think of in mental health. But and many of those things, I'm not a therapist and I don't play one on TV, but I do know enough to know that many of those things are biological, right? It's a whole separate issue. It's also important to say that there are many professionals who function really well, even dealing with some of those more extreme forms of mental illness. And so I just want to say that many of us walking around, people that you stand next to every day, may be dealing with things. But here's where I think it breaks down: when we don't deal with it, when we don't acknowledge it, when we run from what we're feeling, right? I'm going to jump into the comments for a minute. We have another doctor in here, Dr. Philip Williams, in here. He has shared some pretty powerful things. And I'm telling you, Philip, we're going to have you in here. He says he's coping during this time with blueberry smoothies and 30 minutes of cardio. I need a recipe. He says she's not sure if it's working, but he feels mentally healthy. I do think there's something to that, right? We know blueberries are the brain food. Maybe we'll have a whole separate cooking thing. I don't know. And Pam Kelly, hey girl, hey. She says the mind is powerful and can make the body sick. We have to understand that the power machine is sitting between our ears. Come on, guys, yes. Right? If you are stressed, if your emotions are on overload, and you feel that sense of being hijacked. I learned that actually from my medical professional, from my doctor, who said, Karen, you're experiencing anxiety. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I am not that person. I've got this, and I'm just going to pray and believe. Anywho, don't get me started there. Anyway, I needed help. I needed help because I was going so hard. And yeah, my body was hijacking my brain. And what came out of that was not pretty. Let me just tell you something. When I finally took the step to get help and to acknowledge that I was out of my genius zone, I was out of my genius zone, y'all. I needed somebody else to help me with that. Let's see. Pam Kelly says, you can't share too much. You're brilliant. Sharing and showing vulnerability is grace and relief for others. Amen. Let me tell you something. You will set somebody free by sharing your story. But before you share your story, getting help for your story. Is that good? That's good, y'all. Getting help for your story. Philip Williams says, I shared with friends that I went to counseling to deal with my brother's diagnosis of dementia. Philip, it helped me to manage my emotions around my hero being mentally ill. Oh my gosh, you're going to make me cry. That hits me where I live. When my mother was sick in 2014, she'd been sick for 7 years. When I finally got help was when I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying. Remember, I said to my husband, everything is not okay, right? And I recognized that I was also ill. I had been her caregiver for 7 years, growing this practice and doing all these different things, and had not taken care of myself. So I ended up with 2 biopsies myself, had countless doctor's appointments. I didn't feel well. I was 30 pounds overweight, right? I had all of these things going on. They were signals. How many of us have signals and we're not paying attention? What are your signals? Mm-hmm. What signals do you have right now that you're ignoring? I want to talk about kind of when we think about what to do when everything is not okay. Brittany, I want you to answer this question. In your own life, how did you know everything was not okay? Just, you don't have to give details, but we've all had those experiences. So for you, how did you know?
So first, I just want to say vulnerability is hard. And that is, I think, as a leader, something we are asked to do. And I have had the leadership of my husband, who has been very vulnerable in the last year and a half or so. And it's allowed me to now get to this place where I can be a little more vulnerable as well. And for me, I noticed that I shut down. So my anxiety creeps up as I'm starting to see, I have 3 kids, 8 and under, and I have to take care of them. I am running a business. We have a team of about 10 people. And so we believe very, very deeply that it is our responsibility to steward them well. They're not just cogs in the machine. So we really care for them like they're our family. So I have to do those, plus the tasks of the business.
Right.
I need to be a wife. Plus, I have my own self to take care of and the things I'm interested in. And I just tick, and then things go wrong in all of those areas.
Right.
Like, so not just the level of responsibility, but I would find myself allowing that anxiety to go, and then I would just shut down. And it would present as more of a depressive episode where I'm barely moving, I'm sluggish, I can't get anything done. I might get one thing on the checklist that day done. The house is absolutely a disaster. And, my kids are doing the normal thing of just wanting to connect with me, and I can barely have a conversation. I mean, these are kids, so they're very basic conversations.
Right.
Finding myself in those places and having to, my husband and I call it, we CBT ourselves, cognitive behavioral therapy, kind of walking ourselves through identifying the thought and is this accurate, and replacing the thought, and in order to kind of get out of it. But often I find when I get to that place, it's because I have not asked for help. And
you have not asked for help.
Yes. And so I need to ask for help to get out of it, whether that's from Brandon. And oftentimes I don't ask him because I see how much he has on his plate too, and I don't want to add to that. And I think that there is a fear that when we ask for help from someone else, we're adding to their burden. And everybody already feels enough burden. So I don't want to be more for them. But the thing is that when we actually link arms, we carry the burden together, and that does inherently lighten it. Just even admitting it, just saying it to someone else, it lightens that burden of what's going on. And even if they can't do anything, they can't do anything, because I lead this team. And and they come to me and I'm overwhelmed. Like, I can't do this anymore. Not I can't do this anymore, but just that I'm getting really frustrated with patients very quickly, and I don't want to be that way. Okay, well, often, some of the stuff is outside of my control. We do as much as we can to alter procedures and processes, to bring in someone to support as a support staff member, or even if it's just for that day, to lighten that load. But sometimes it's outside of my control as a leader, and I have to be okay with that and not allow an extra burden back onto me, just being present with them. And so there's just something to be said for a relationship and presence with one another.
I want to just touch on that real quickly, because one of the things that Beverly alluded to was the fact that she was in a relationship, and the burden of the things that were going on was not something that she could handle.
Yes.
And first of all, Beverly, I want to congratulate you, because it takes courage to recognize when you're not in your genius zone in any area of life, right? And sometimes we get over our heads. Sometimes we get in over our heads with people that we love and care about.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I think is really important, and I've been teaching this skill to my leaders who are supporting their teams, and, you know, they're kind of getting dumped on, right? Mm-hmm. So the leader has their own issues because they're getting dumped on. They had issues before, but now they're getting dumped on even more during this time when things are so incredibly stressful. And so I'm going to teach you a really basic skill, and it's called the power of acknowledgement and validation. Because as leaders, to Brittany's point, sometimes people just need to be heard, right? And I do think it's important to have boundaries in our relationships as leaders, mm-hmm. with our employees, with our ministry teams, with our community teams. You have to have boundaries at home. Okay, I'm about to preach. You have to have boundaries at home too, right? Because as individuals, it's tempting to rely on someone else to be that kind of balm for us, to carry the weight. You know, your best friends, you know, you always talk about everything, but maybe right now they're a little more withdrawn. And what I would say is grace, grace, grace. Yes. Grace, grace, grace. Lawrence said this earlier. Grace, grace, grace. Because we are not intended to carry the weight of everything that is going on. And one of the reasons why I think, Dr. Colson, that we're experiencing so much trauma is that we're carrying things and we're processing things. We are kind of, you know, with social media, with TV, with, you know, the types of movies and things that are out there. And this is not a values judgment. The reality is that there are things that are life-giving, and there are things that will drain your energy and your spirit. So we've got all of these inputs coming in that we've got to process. Oh, by the way, you may lose your job. Oh, by the way, your child may not be able to go to school. Oh, by the way, your team member can't come to work because they got to teach their kid at home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So even though, you know, we may not have those issues like right in the moment, the subconscious puts additional weight on us. So I think there's just huge power in recognizing that there have to be boundaries. So let's go to, how do I process what's happening in my family or on my team or in my ministry when everybody's dumping on me? It's called acknowledgement and validation. Acknowledgement says, I see you. Validation says, I hear you. Acknowledgement says, I see you. Acknowledgement says, I hear you. Validation says, I see you. But acknowledgement and validation are not the same thing as agreement. Okay? You do not have to absorb, and you can set boundaries. When everything is not okay, boo, you are not going to be able to do everything and be everything for everybody. You may need to take a step back. If I call you, you may need to let that thing ring. Okay? Mm-hmm. You may need to let the phone ring. You may need to put your computer on out of office, do not disturb. When everything is not okay, part of it is acknowledging it. Part of it is asking for help, right? Those are powerful power plays. But sometimes setting boundaries is part of that power play. Yes. Part of acknowledgement and validation is saying, I see you. I hear you. I see you. I can understand how you might feel like that. So let's talk about what that sounds like. Acknowledgement says, so what I hear you saying is, so you're just repeating back what you've heard. What that does is it draws the person in. This is very important, powerful coaching construct, right? Lawrence and Dr. Denice and Brittany know this well. So what I hear you saying is, and what that does is it kind of psychologically, I think, says to the person, they heard me. It sounds really basic, but it is incredibly powerful, right? So what I heard you saying is, validation says, I can see how you might feel that way. It doesn't say, oh, girl, I agree. I'm right there with you. I'm a mess too. No, we don't want to do that. We want to make space for the person that's speaking with us. And then it may be, you know what? I can understand how you might feel that way. I don't know what you're feeling right now, but I would love to know, how can I support you? So now what you've done is you've given, because what they're going to do is they're going to come back and they're going to say, I don't know, I just felt like I needed to talk. Right? That's what happens a lot of times, right? Dr. Denice, Brittany, you guys have seen this happen in your practice where it's just like, sometimes I just need to get it out, right? And especially with leaders, because we need to be careful about who we share with. I'm going to pop into the comments, and then we're going to be just kind of pulling together some wrap-up thoughts. An hour has gone really, really fast. Let's see. Philip Williams says, asking for help is so courageous in so many ways. Absolutely. Let me just say to those of you who are asking for help during this season, I want to encourage you, or who feel like you need to ask for help, I want to encourage you to reach out to Dr. Denice. I'm going to have her share her contact information, and also Brandon and Brittany Browne at Mind and Body Christian Health Group. Both practices serve the community at large. You do not have to identify as Christian. They're amazing resources, and they are doing telehealth in Georgia, Florida, and surrounding states. They can at least point you in the right direction, if nothing else. Beverly Wilkes says, having boundaries is so important. That's right, Beverly, you have to have boundaries, especially during this season. And I think oftentimes I see this a lot. We talked about this a few streams ago when we were talking about what's happening in the world of civil unrest, where people are just at war with each other. I think people are feeling like they've got to say yes to everything, or they've got to agree to everything, and you don't. You do not have to do that. There is a way to treat each other with dignity and respect. Can I get a witness without having to agree, right? We are neighbors and citizens, y'all. We got to find a way to do that, but you can set boundaries. Philip says, I am compelled to say, and instead of, but when I'm coaching. That's right. So to say, and instead of but, right? So giving people space to include their thoughts and their emotions. Here's another tip for leaders when everything is not okay, either with you or your team members. Make sure to give yourself time and space to prepare before conversations, and to give yourself space to decompress afterwards. Oh my gosh, I just set somebody free. For real, for real. We're talking about this topic, you guys, of what to do when everything is not okay. One of the first things I wanted to do in today's show was just punch this myth in the face that mental health is some sort of shameful thing. It isn't. It is a leadership strategy. Mental health is a leadership competency, right? We need to be able to tap into it. And Dr. Denice has given us some amazing insights about how our brain works. What you're feeling is real. Dr. Denice, would you give us just kind of some parting thoughts about this idea of what to do when everything is not okay? And then tell us how people can reach you.
Sure. One of the chapters of my book, Break Every Stinking Chain, is titled Stop Trying to Fix Yourself. I want to say, just adding on what you're talking about, Karen, stop trying to fix others. You can't fix people. You cannot fix people. It is impossible. Yeah. Only God can do that. And they have to participate. So get out of the mindset that there's one thing, just one thing that you could say that would change everything in their lives, because that is so much pressure on you. Take the pressure off. Take the pressure off. Get help for yourself and send them for help to someone who can sit in that role of being a mental health or behavioral health provider. Take
the pressure off. I love it. Dr. Denice, where can we find your book? Your book is called Break Every Stinking Chain. I'm going to go grab my copy because I want you guys to see this, and we're going to gift we're going to gift 5 copies of your book. Oh, there it is. You've got it. Break Every Stinking Chain. What's the subtitle on that? Woo,
Healing for Hidden
needs
Wounds.
That. I'm just saying, I got my copy.
Somebody needs that. And I've got, and there's a workbook too. There's a book and a workbook.
We're going to gift 5 copies of that set to members of this community, and we're going to post the drawing in our private group coaching community. It's absolutely free, you guys. So on this page in Facebook, if you click on the link that says visit group, you can pop in there. It's absolutely free. We'll post that drawing. So Sarah, if you can capture that, we want to gift 5 of those. So you're going to get the book and the workbook. We will purchase those off of Amazon, and we'll post the drawing in our private group coaching community. Dr. Denice, did you have something else you wanted to share? I saw
but my other book is about the model, the model of trauma recovery, and it goes through and covers the model. And I use this book. This is the training manual we use in our training for coaches and for counselors who want to go through and learn this model. Right now, my traumaeducation.com website, it's just simply traumaeducation, 2 words, .com, no spaces. And there I post the training. I have a training on Break Every Stinking Chain coming up after my daughter's wedding. And no more training until after the wedding. After my daughter's wedding, I'll be doing a weekly class on that book. If you want to learn, not only go through it for yourself as a leader, but also you want to learn how to use it as a leader with people in your community, in your church, in your synagogue, in your practice, however you want to use it. And that's simply traumaeducation.com. Traumaeducation.com. Yeah, I personally am not taking any new counseling clients. The only clients I'm taking right now is coaching for other providers who want to learn the model and get better at using the model. I'm at an age where I need to duplicate myself more. So that's what I'm doing. But I have 21 providers that I have personally hired and personally know and trained. And so I'm very confident in their abilities to really counsel people in our community and in our country. And you can simply call Zyra, or Avon, our front office folks, and reach them at 678-289-6981. And we'd be happy to do what we can to help.
Thank you, Dr. Denice. Appreciate you so much. Sarah has
Thank you, Karen.
put the links to your resources in the chat. And we will also post those on our Facebook page, on our public Facebook page, and in the private group coaching community. We want people outside of the drawing. Yes, we're going to do a drawing for those. But if you are a coach or somebody in the helping professions, I cannot recommend Dr. Colson's training enough. Her training, which I took, I invested in myself because I recognized that so many of the leaders I was dealing with were actually dealing with trauma. I knew what I was looking at. I just didn't know what to do about it. And so she equipped me to be able to have a way to support the work that she's doing in my coaching practice. I cannot recommend it highly enough. When she starts doing training again, do not miss it because they fill up really quickly. Danny Lynn. Oh, wait, we got Linda Givens in the house. Hey, Linda Givens. She says, great topic today. Keep opening the lines of communication to remove the stigma around this topic. Absolutely. Brittany, could you give us just some parting words real quickly, and then let people know how we can reach you?
Yeah, so kind of echoing what Denice was saying, that we've got to allow other people to be okay, not okay. And we also have to give space for our humanity. And I hear the word saying over is grace, and grace for ourselves, grace for others. And that is a lesson that I feel like I've been learning over years and years of time, is just allowing humanity. We are not perfect beings. We never will be. And we have to allow for that space, that things will not go right 100% of the time. In fact, it'll be dramatically less than 100% of the time. And when we're interacting with other people, it will be even less than that. But that's also the beauty is, and the community aspect is that there's fulfillment, a deep heart fulfillment when we are in community with one another and are willing to accept each other where we are at. I really encourage people to do that. And one of the ways we're doing that in our practice is we have an intensive marriage workshop coming up in September. I believe it's almost full, but we are going to be starting to do them monthly. So October might be the next best place. I think we might have one more spot for a marriage. And it is as a place to start accepting your spouse, and who they are and where they're at, and accepting yourself, and then coming together, learning how to do that. So we're doing a Friday and a Saturday all day with about 5 couples, and helping them learn to have a better and deeper relationship with one another, especially after COVID. There's a lot more marriage counseling going on right now, and so there's an opportunity for that. And then we're also doing a study. Our nurse practitioner here on staff, Melissa Muna, and I will be leading something called the Wellness Revelation. It's basically taking your nutrition and exercise and coupling it in with your spiritual health. And so we're going to be walking some people through that, and that will be coming up at the end of September as well.
That's incredible. Brittany, you're doing such powerful work, and I have the great privilege of knowing Brittany. I consider her one of my little sisters, and it's been amazing to watch you grow. It's been amazing to watch you so genuinely share your story and to show up in a way, because other women are inspired by you.
Thank you.
I'm inspired by you, and this community is inspired by you. So in your role as Mrs. Kennesaw, we are wildly supportive of your platform, and we want to continue to do that to help you get the word out. And so we're just so thankful that you trusted us to support you. Thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership at Mind and Body Christian Health Group. I know Brandon, sorry, I renamed your husband there. Brandon loves you and is just wildly crazy about you. You have the cutest kids on the planet. We're just delighted that you were able to join us today. Thank you so much. And Coach Lawrence, we're gonna wrap up kind of the chat. We've got some more stuff, guys, so don't hang up yet. But Coach Lawrence, give us some final thoughts real quickly, just on this topic of what to do when everything is not okay, and let us know how we can reach you.
Yeah. So very, very, very deep and hearty discussion today. And what I would add to what Brittany and Denice already expertly said is when we're dealing in relationship, and one of the things is putting relationships in the right perspective and managing not only our expectation, but the expectancy of the person that we're sharing with. And I know I was guilty of wanting to share with people that I thought had the capability to support me. And I wasn't getting help in the right areas and with the right people in the right skill sets. And when we brought up church in a lot of times, and there being a stigma, but there's access and there's an understanding of professionals in this world. And I know growing up, I knew there were people that had practices around counseling and psychiatry, but it was almost like if you went to one of those or outside agency, you weren't praying hard enough. And so just that stigma of allowing the professional to be the professional, and again, asking and receiving in the form of a person who is there positioned to help and support what you need to be whole and healthy. And so again, managing expectation, but then understanding the expectancy of the person that you're asking to be a thing. And I know a lot of times we go in and I'm going to talk to my wife. Well, my wife's a teacher. She wasn't built to deal with all my crazy. And so go to the people who they went to school, they got a couple certificates on the wall, and they have the armor to be prepared to walk me through those things. And so in my coaching practice, and I love connecting the dots for people, you can find me www.bossconsultingllc.net, and across social media, I'm Boss Lab, BOSSLLAB.
Awesome. Y'all do me a favor. In this community, I want y'all to promise me something. I don't ask a lot, but I'm going to ask. I want all of you who are on this live stream, who are watching this in the replay, to go and follow Dr. Denice at Eagles Landing Christian Health Group, Brittany Browne at Mind and Body Christian Health Group, and Lawrence Henderson at Boss Lab LLC. Why? Because you become who you spend time with. You become who you follow. We want to be educated and informed and equipped with people who are doing great work. And what we try to do here every single Monday at 8:15 Eastern Daylight Time, right here on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, is bring you resources that can help you level up, that can help you master the shift. Come on, you guys. This is our theme for 2020. We are mastering the shift. It's imperfect, like Brittany said, but we're doing it one step in front of the other. When quarantine started, we thought, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, the world is ending right now. It didn't. We shifted. Come on, we shifted. I know there's a lot of bad news out there. I know but listen, as long as you have a pulse, you have a purpose. You got stuff to do. We all have stuff to do. And mental health is such a key part of being able to do it well, right? Being able to navigate those rough areas. And we need each other. Come on. We do need each other, right? Sometimes Brittany and I'll be like, girl, you don't know what happened to me today or whatever, right? Lawrence and I talk all the time, and he's so transparent with his story. He's an amazing speaker and shares his story as part of his platform. So you've got lots of ways to connect in this community. So September is coming up, and I want to tell you about some things that are going to be going on. September is my mother's birth month. My mom is Clara Alice Price James. She is the namesake for my coaching practice, TAP Executive Coaching. TAP is an acronym for the Alice Project. Alice is, guess who? My mama. And we're going to be telling her story, featuring some remarkable women and talking about some of the things that mattered to her and were really the catalyst for what you see in Rock Your Vision and everything else that we're doing in this company. And I'm really proud of it. We're going to be not just telling her story, but telling the story of some other amazing women. We're going to be doing some freebies and giveaways. So if you're a business owner and you'd like to sponsor some of that, I want you to reach out to our team, reach out to Sarah. She will be glad to chat with you a little bit about what that looks like. And then as we move into the end of September, we are going to be getting ready to launch our webinar in October. I am so excited about this, and it's called The Path Back to Your Why. If you felt stuck and afraid and overwhelmed, feeling like you're stuck in some sort of wilderness, we want you to know you don't have to stay there. And we're going to be giving you some of the tools and resources to be able to navigate any wilderness, right? COVID is new, but life isn't. Something else is going to come along the way, and you don't have to stay stuck. So I'm super excited about that. We want you to follow along. Do me a favor, if you would. If this has been beneficial to you, if you've gotten anything out of this, would you just put something in the comments and thank our amazing panel? They're busy in their own right. So I'm so grateful to you, Dr. Colson. I just love sitting at your feet, and I will continue to do so. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. I enjoyed it very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Brittany, I adore you. I'm so proud of you. And it's just been so exciting to see your growth. And we're continuing to Team Mrs. Kennesaw, Team Brittany Browne.
Well, thank you, Karen. I just have to share this really quickly. As preparing for my interview, there's tons of questions to go through for the pageant. And one of them was, who do you admire most? And you were on my list as one of the women I admire most to talk about. So it truly is an honor to be here, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh. Okay, I need a minute. We got to wrap up. Oh my gosh. Lawrence, you're a king among kings. I'm so thankful for your leadership. I'm so thankful for your friendship. You bring light to the world, and I'm so excited just to share you with the world. I've got all kinds of ideas and stuff, so we're gonna be doing some things. But anyway, so glad to have you, brother.
No, thank you so much for, again, allowing me to share your platform with you, and more to come. I'm excited.
All right, everybody, listen to me. Remember, you've got more options than you realize in mental health in every area of life. Do not forget, be sure to like this, share it, tweet it, do all that kind of stuff, because we want people to know the truth about what to do when everything is not okay. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.